Here's your report.
Oh, thanks, Jane. I wish I could hire someone just like you.
Try LinkedIn Hiring Pro. It's more than a job board. It's like the recruiter you always wished you had. Hiring Pro uses real-time insights to match your role to LinkedIn's unique network of professionals and delivers a short list of best fit candidates. You'll spend less time sorting applicants and more time talking to the right people.
Let's do it. You're irreplaceable, Jane, but another you would be great.
Hire right the first time. Post your job for free on LinkedIn today at linkedin.com/quality.
This message is brought to you by Apple Card. Shave ice by the beach. A trip to the state fair. And a throwback flick at the local drive-in. They're more than just items to check off the summer bucket list. They're also opportunities to earn 2% daily cash back when you use your Apple Card with Apple Pay. Apply for Apple Card now and use in-minutes with Apple Pay. Subject to credit approval. Apple Card is issued by Goldman Sachs Bank USA, Salt Lake City branch. Terms and more at applecard.com.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Hey guys, today I'm interviewing my cat about his perfect bistro food. Percy, you seem to be a big Perfect Bistro fan. Care to comment? Totally. What do you like about it? You love the high-quality ingredients? And the delicious flavors, of course. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Listen to Percy, guys. Visit perfectbistro.com to try it for your cat.
Rugby's greatest rivalry is upon us. The enemy's at the gate, Nkosi. And they brought us a wooden horse. Feels like a trap. Let's get stuck in. Welcome to the special Bit of an Animal Rugby's Greatest Rivalry preview show with myself and Nkosi. Things are getting exciting. Not quite Test rugby just yet, but there's a couple of warm-up games for the New Zealand rugby team to get their teeth stuck into. Nkosi, I haven't seen you in a while. The last episode we had was our 50th Bit of an Animal episode on the 20th of last month, 20th of July. What have you been up to?
Like I probably said before, I've been busy with work, and when I haven't been doing that, I finally went to the cinema to go watch. Well, I didn't want to go watch Spider-Man, but hey, I ended up watching Spider-Man. The missus wanted it.
I unfortunately was able to watch The Odyssey, and it was as good as I hoped it would be. Christopher Nolan films are generally quite good. Dunkirk, I even enjoyed Tenet. The Batman trilogy, Inception, etc., etc. So yeah, weirdly though, because of my busy schedule, I still haven't. I know this is going to sound strange. I still haven't watched Oppenheimer, but I do actually intend to watch it sometime. I had hoped to watch it this weekend, but I'd hoped to stream it this weekend, but I didn't get around to it. But speaking of getting around to it, while we took a little bit of a break after our 50th episode, so this is our 51st episode, like, subscribe, click the notification bell, and thank you to everybody who's watched the pod so far. The Springboks announced their 43-man squad for both the Argentina game coming up, which myself and Jason Bashford will do a special preview show as soon as South Africa and Argentina announce their match 23s for this upcoming game in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, as well as for the Greatest Rivalry Tour, which we're previewing now. So I'll share on my screen, we'll look at that 43-man squad. And we call it a 43-man squad, Nkosi, but it's actually now a 44-man squad with Nchunu, the Lucid prop, who was initially sent back to the Stormers along with 4 other players. Evan Ross was sent back to the Stormers. Andre Hofenter, the hooker, he was sent back to the Stormers. Jaco Williams went back to the Sharks, and a few other players. I think there's one other player I'm missing. But yeah, and Nchunu's name is not on your screen right now, but he has joined the broader squad in Johannesburg. We will also look just after this at the 26-man squad that's already flown to Buenos Aires, Argentina. But yeah, we'll initially go look at the broader squad for the rugby's greatest rivalry. Nkosi, your initial thoughts?
I'm surprised that Papi went back. and especially because Yankee stayed. I mean, yeah, Herschel stayed. I would have thought that Papier kind of proved why he needs to be there, but strong team as as per usual. It'll be interesting to see who actually kind of plays the All Black from kind of like the new people that have learned, like your Paul de Villiers. Did he impress enough to get a starter in this one? Um, is Sasha fit enough to play back? Will Vusi get a game or even one game? How will that play out? So it'll be interesting to see looking forward to the World Cup, that who out of the newer players have cemented their position enough that they should be in the starting lineup. And I'm excited to see how it will play out. It's the two best teams in the world.
Yeah, if anybody's not familiar with the Rugby's Greatest Rivalry Tour, so it'll be in South Africa this year, and in 4 years' time it'll be in New Zealand. Um, and it's like the British and Irish Lions Tour, only it's competitive. Come at me in the comments, Northern Hemisphere people. You did
Okay.
ask us to make outlandish statements to get you guys going, so I hope that's sufficient to you. But yeah, I'm stoked about this. It's an incredibly strong team for South Africa. We will look at the New Zealand squad as well. New Zealand squad, who I was fortunate to see in person on Friday. Though I support the Springboks, I did attend the New Zealand welcome at Cape Town Stadium. And yeah, myself and more than 4,000 other fans, was mostly New Zealand rugby fans from South Africa, Cape Crusaders as it were. I was somewhat embedded in that environment, standing in line with them and sort of like the I wasn't wearing any New Zealand merchandise, but yeah, I was wearing mostly black. Although I did have some green underneath to reflect my South African allegiance. There was
Like you're
some
supporting
other
the enemy.
yeah, I had to blend in a little. There was some people, one or two with there was a lady with a South African flag as well as full South African gear, but that very few and far between. There was one oak with an Australian t-shirt. I think he might have been lost. He got sort of like got off in Sea Point and was headed somewhere else. Yeah, but it was an awesome day. Started the gates opened at 1 o'clock. As soon as the gates opened, people like started cheering and things like that. I've got some footage that I recorded, so hopefully we'll splice that together and keep an eye on the Global Gainline's YouTube channel. See if we can't put out a video of that experience. At the start, there was a band outside. Uh, Playing on on the saxophone the New Zealand national anthem, and the New Zealand supporters like sang along. They sang all the lyrics to the New Zealand national anthem. So that was kind of cool to watch that. And there, overall, was quite fun. The South African Youth Choir was there. They did two songs. They did their rendition of the Walden Union, like the song very much associated with the World Cup, as well as they did another song after that that was quite good. I just don't know what exactly it was, but
I
that was
don't know.
cool. And then the the New Zealand rugby team did a rugby clinic on the field after the presentation with young kids from schools across the Cape Peninsula, not just like prestigious rugby schools. So that was nice to see. Even all even doing some drills with some all girls rugby teams. I know that's gonna upset some people watching this, especially Yaku no van der Walt. I know they type feverishly from Orania, and are opposed to women playing rugby. But yeah, that was awesome to see. And yeah, uh, the way they introduced the New Zealand rugby players was fantastic. Some of them like embraced it a little more. Was it what was that Caleb Clark? Caleb Clark was like all over the place. He was like high energy. They also had a t-shirt cannon that they were shooting t-shirts into the stands. That was kind of cool. They did give one lady 4 free tickets to the game with Stormers versus uh All Blacks in a week's time on Friday night, which we'll preview a bit later. So that was kind of cool because she had a New Zealand um, tattoo on her arm that she said she got in 1980, which is like way before I wasn't even born then, like back in the day. So Yeah, fantastic. I'm glad I went. The next time I get might get an opportunity to attend this type of thing would be in 8 years' time. And who knows if that's going to be possible or not. So yeah, shout out to everybody who attended. Um, and yeah, yeah, the vibe was fantastic when the New Zealand coach David Ennie spoke. He got a great reception when stand-in captain the New Zealand standing captain when he spoke. He got a great reception. Obviously, Ali Savia is not available. We'll look at that later. And then, yeah, overall, I'm glad I went. And then obviously stuck around to watch some live music in Sea Point a bit later. So it was a full day for me. Timikosi will look now at the actual match 20 squad. 23-man squad. We haven't announced the match 23 yet, but the 26-man squad that flew to Argentina in alphabetical order to throw off the opposition so they can't like
They
figure
can't
out the
fi-
team
they can't
themselves.
figure
But
out
it
which position.
exactly. But some interesting names that are in the mix that are back. Siya Kolisi's back, Loteaga's back, Eben Etzebeth's back. They all traveled. Cameron Nanakom, who hadn't played the last two games for some reason, he's back. Jan-Hendrik Wessels, utility forward. And then yeah, in the back line, so they split the teams into forwards and back line at least, as opposed to putting them into position categories. Fassi's there, Sasha Weimann, Ngomazulu's there. Yeah, so there's a 26-man squad that flew to Argentina. Of these 26, who do you think's gonna be in the match 23?
I think um, uh, it's a bet needs to be there just because he hasn't played in a while. Sia is there, right? Sia is part of the squad because
Yeah.
I can't see if you put it. Yeah, then I'm thinking he's also gonna play. Um, I'm not sure if Sasha is match fit, but they'll probably want to see him and how he's gonna play playing for a while. This they're gonna try and give them some game time just before we play New Zealand. So I'm thinking everyone that is coming back from injury or anyone that didn't quite get game time, like your I'm not sure if Ethan is there. Okay, I need to put up the squad here because if Ethan is there also, they're probably
Hmm.
okay. You have it on
Can
now.
you can you see it now?
Yeah, yeah. Let me just zoom in a little.
Yeah. So Ethan Yuka's flown out as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking all of those players because they didn't first get game time in the Nations Championship. Um, so we kind of need to see them where they are, like your Van der Berg. So yeah, I'm thinking that those are the players that we kind of need to see where they're at and they
Mhm.
match fit for New Zealand.
Yeah. Look,
But
tune
it's
in
interesting
later.
to see that we actually before before you go there, it's interesting to see that Damien Dielendi and Jesse Creed is not in the squad. So it will be interesting to see who will be the center combinations. Is it going to be Esther Hazen and Ethan Hooker? Is it Esther Hazen and Kenneth Moody, or is it Kenneth Moody and Ethan Hooker? For who knows? So it's going to be seen. Maybe Damien here. Damien is not here. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be the center combination.
That's an excellent point, actually. Um, so this is an away game. I don't necessarily anticipate Rassi naming the squad tomorrow, recording this on Sunday, the 2nd of August. So I don't really think that they'll name the squad on the 3rd of August, Monday, the 3rd of August, maybe Tuesday. I mean, I could be mistaken. It was so interesting to see how soon Argentina named their squad. And as soon as they do, myself and Jason Bashford, our English correspondent, will actually be standing in because we couldn't get an Argentinian correspondent just yet. We're working on it. Yeah, we'll be dissecting both match 23s as soon as both teams announce it. So look out for that later this week. And then over the weekend, next weekend, we'll have a full bit of an animal panel with a few new faces. Chris will be joining us, Bull supporter based out in the UK. So thanks to her, and a current Toyota Cheetahs player will actually be joining the panel as well. So look forward to those 2 podcasts later this week. Bit of an Animal will be the podcast that's mostly airing on Global Gainlines. Although do look out for the Scottish Rugby Realm. They did a bit of a podcast earlier today. So give them a like and a shout as well. All right, Temigosi, we'll actually quickly go to look at that New Zealand team that they've announced for this greatest rivalry tour. And that's why you are here, my friend, because you support South Africa, but you've got incredible insight into New Zealand rugby because somehow you found the time to still watch Super Rugby. Worth noting, though, no Duplessis Karifi. Big talking point that, and the coaching staff said that they do appreciate him, but they feel as if they have the loose forwards to cover open side. Thoughts?
My first question would be, did they have a limit of players that they could take? Because I'm thinking to myself, 44-man squad is not enough. Thinking that yeah.
So the unions could decide how many players they could take. Obviously, the more players they could take, the more expensive the sort of cost would be to the union itself. So my understanding is they could decide. So if the more people you have, the higher your cost would be, or the less each individual would get. So I think they maybe felt that 44 was like a nice compromise considering how many games New Zealand are actually going to have to play, because they'll be playing 4 games against South Africa, the Springboks, as well as 4 games against Stormers, Sharks, Bulls, and Lions. So yeah.
Yeah, because it's 8 games. I thought maybe they could have at least picked a squad of 50. They have nice players. They have, like, in the hookers, the first 2 that okay, let me say this first. I'm okay with the squad. It's a good squad. I felt like they could have brought in more players to kind of see how they would be in the All Black environment against South Africa away. But generally, everyone else, I'm also like, I'm going to also echo the whole Duplessis thing. I felt like he had enough of Jacqueline and Paris Blau to be part of the starting lineup. But I understand when I look around the squad, I see they went for, let's go for more meat, more beefy players. That's why your Ethan Blackhead is back. You can even see it in the hookers. Your Faso, your Bell, your Taylor, all of them are players that are actually, I want to say, they run into you. They win they score more tries. So they went for like a beefy pack. They made sure that let's get our players that are more physical. And that's why probably Karifi did not make the cut. But yeah, I'm impressed that they actually brought in. I'm surprised. Like, I'm just gonna jump back and forth. I'm also surprised with Josh Jacobs being there. I didn't think that in terms of fourth 10, they would have brought him. I thought maybe Kramer or Rehana played better. Probably it would have been nicer to give him a try. In terms of your, let's go to halfbacks. Maybe Noah Hotham. I'm not sure why Noah Hotham is not here. Maybe he's hurt. I kinda wanted to see him over. I feel like I've seen Kotas Ratama, and I don't think Kotas Ratama is the person you want to be relying on again in a World Cup. Maybe Carl Preston, maybe he will impress. But and another thing, now that I remembered with my train of thought, I feel like there's 2 squads. I can kind of see who will play which matches. That's another thing that I see from the squad. I can see that your Carl Preston is probably being called here along with your Jacobs, along with your, let me go to the forward and see and pick someone, maybe your George Bell. I think those are the type of players that probably they're just brought in for, the club games. And we're probably going to see the same old New Zealand squad when it comes to The South Africa when it comes to when they're playing the Springboks. So we're probably going to go back to your Borden Barretts, your Damien McKenzie's, your Fletchers. Yeah, so that's probably just my jumbled thoughts about it. Oh, and another person. Nice to see Josh Moody. He played really well. Actually, the all Crusaders played really well in the last game. Not Crusaders, I mean Hurricanes.
Yeah, it's got a very Hurricanes flavor to it. What was
Mm.
interesting is that the articles that I read were indicating that Duplessis Kirifi wasn't picked, as you said, for like the size, because they were concerned about sort of as less jackling. They thought that they had enough jackling threat, but they felt that they didn't have enough cleaning out the ruck threat. So went for slightly bigger bodies, as you indicated, at the loose forward. Um, yeah, like two very, very good squads. This is setting up to be incredibly competitive. And for the people who were a bit down on the fact that like, oh, the Stormers, Sharks, Bulls, and Lions, well, less so the Lions, weren't looking particularly impressive in the Currie Cup. It's worth noting that the New Zealand rugby team, the All Blacks, are not necessarily going to face those players. They're actually going to face the URC players who are in URC preseason for those respective teams in the warm-up games for New Zealand. So it'll be a lot like, for example, the Sharks have a quite a large contingent of players who have not played any Currie Cup, who will likely run out against New Zealand in Durban. Maybe one or two Currie Cup standouts if there's sort of injuries here and there. And then obviously there were certain players like Nchunu might have been brought back into the broader training squad for the Springboks in Johannesburg, but there's always a chance that he might just get allowed to play New Zealand earlier against this coming Friday for the Stormers. It doesn't mean that the Stormers won't be able to pick him in outright. So there's that aspect to look at as well. Yeah, so that's the New Zealand squad for the tour at the bottom here. Oh, Scott Barrett not available. Oh, Lester Fainga'anuku, he could have made a huge impact, and then Tamati Williams. So those are the three like marquee players that likely would have definitely been in the squad had they been picked. Earlier, I couldn't remember what the New Zealand standing captain's name was. Cody Taylor. Poor Cody Taylor. Poor Cody. The fans were just like trying to get him to sign their shirts and stuff, their kit, and they were just like full on throwing things at him. And he was very polite about it. So yeah. Also, I will say though, every time Rico Ioane appeared on screen or got mentioned, his name got mentioned, or when he walked down the tunnel. South African, I know people are indifferent about Rico Ioane of late, but South African, New Zealand, All Black supporters love the guy. So yeah, no love lost with Rico Ioane. Very much still a superstar. Next thing on the bill, Demi Corsi. We'll look at.
I don't think Rikiani should be there.
You don't think
I
oh,
mean,
there we go. There we go. It's like
I don't. I'm not. Okay, he played well. Leicester played well, so he played well at Leicester, right?
mm,
But as of late, what
they
what
played well.
position is he gonna play? Like, what position is he realistically gonna play for the All Blacks? Is he gonna play? Does he want to play wing? Does he want to play center? Like, because at wing, Fihai, um, Taylor, is it Carter,
Mm,
and Will Jordan have that covered. When we go to the centers, um, Billy Proctor, Jody Barrett, now I'm fine less than unlikely that he's here. And who else? What's the last one? Tawa Tawana has that covered. Is he better than all those players? I I don't think so currently. So,
yeah.
but hey, maybe he brings in something that I don't see. I'm not the coach. That's why I'm here on the pod and not coaching New Zealand.
Shots fired at Ricky Ioane. Again, we were encouraged to be somewhat more controversial, but like within bounds. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, did he play really that well for the Irish team,
Let's
Leicester?
compare it.
Leinster.
Let's
I mean,
compare
they
it
they
to
won the Euro. They
Jody
won.
Barrett.
Yeah, they won the URC. Look, Jody Barrett had better performances, but
Yeah,
Leinster didn't make the Champions Cup final. So on paper, Ricky Ioane actually did slightly better. But Rico Ioane didn't set the world alight like Jody Barrett. Jody Barrett, when he played the season before for Leinster, it looks like it was so easy. But then they fell short in the Champions Cup. They didn't make the final. So yeah, six doesn't. It depends on your perspective. Yeah, I don't have a dog in the fight. I think they're both very good players. I do feel like Ricky Ioane blew a bit more hot and cold. Exactly why Ricky Ioane wasn't in the three games prior to this in the Nations Championship, I think had something to do with him not playing NPC just yet because had the sabbatical. Could be. I need to look into that. But
No,
yeah,
it wasn't
if
that.
you
I think they just didn't pick him.
they just didn't pick
No,
him
because
outright. Yeah, yeah. Mm,
yeah, because I know that Moanga they can't pick him because he has okay. I think now they can pick him because he played. He was on
he
the
played
bench for
NPC recently. Yeah.
yeah.
Because
So I
he
think Ricky Ryan,
Moanga was on sabbatical in Japan. Yeah,
yeah.
so we'll definitely
So
see
but
Moanga in
on
the World
Ricky's
Cup,
side,
though. Yeah,
I don't think they should call upon him. I think this is what has been the downfall of New Zealand is that they got comfortable with one player playing that position for such a long time, which was great because at the time that one player in that position was exceptional. But rugby has kind of moved on. It has much more players. So I think they should really stop this thing of let's take Bodie Barrett. He should be our 10 for the next 50 years just because Bodie Barrett is good. And during that time, we don't actually even take other players and test them in the squad because we know that Bodie Barrett, and I said Bodie Barrett is our 10. So I think that's what killed them. They need to stop with relying on one person playing that position just because he's exceptional at that position. They need to diversify.
exactly. I think that Ireland also need to understand that diversity is a strength. Look at the Spanish national team. Look at the French national team. Very diverse. Yeah, so they flogged the dead horse a little too long. But for me, always Moanga was better than I look. I think Bowden is a really good player, but I thought Moanga was slightly better. And obviously Geordie. I think Geordie's their best 12 though. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, Geordie sort of developed. Geordie's like their Francois Steyn in a sense, but what's interesting is that Geordie and Damien Willems are very similar in that they can play multiple positions really
Mhm.
well, or at least during their career. So Geordie's somewhat similar to Francois Steyn and Damien Willems, because the reason why I say that is that because we've seen Geordie play wing, we've seen him play fullback, and now he's sort of settled at 12. Whereas Damien Willems, for me, he can play. I don't like Damien Willems at wing. I really think he plays really well at fullback. I think he plays really well at 12, at inside center. Inside center might be my favorite position to see him play. And then we often forget that he can do a job at 10 as well, which I don't quite think Jody Barrett can do right now. And Bolton Barrett's getting older as well. So for me, but I will say though, in these last three games in the Nations Championship, Ruben Love looked really good at 10, and Damon McKenzie looked solid at fullback.
15, yeah. Yeah, I think they should let them in. I don't even know why they put him at flyer. They should play at 15 and give Will Jordan the chance to do what he does best at wing. It will be so much better for them. But like I said, they took too long to replace some players, and this is their current problem where they're kind of short everywhere. Like if Cam Raygaard was to fall right now, is Cortez and Kyle Preston good enough to take them through the whole World Cup? I don't think so.
Excellent point. That's going to be a serious problem. Also, I would indicate that Sam Derry, Fabian Holland, and Josh Lord are all really good players, but they're not the caliber of locks that New Zealand used to have. I even saw an article recently talking about bringing an older lock who's now playing in Japan back. Um, uh, and then Patrick and Tupavai, they're pretty good players, but they're more the senior guys. I'm not quite sure if they're at that level either, but they're quite good. Sam Derry and Fabian Holland and Josh Lord are young and they have great potential, but they're not peak lock in my humble opinion. So there's that issue as well. I think Wallace Atiti sort of broken through at loose forward, so that's good. Peter Lakai is very consistent. And then, yeah, they brought back Ethan Blackadder. He hasn't played in a while for New Zealand. And then Luke Jacobson. That's the guy they've sort of earmarked for open side. So we'll have to see how that pans out. Yeah, so before we look at South Africa's schedule coming up, and then the Rugby Championship schedule as a whole, we'll quickly use our platform to just shout out an NPO because we don't have a title sponsor for this podcast, so we'll use the opportunity to shout out the Khayelitsha Culture Cycling Academy out here in Khayelitsha in Cape Town. The link will be in the description. They've got a donation section there. They're doing great work exposing young ladies in Khayelitsha from differing backgrounds to cycling as a form of social upliftment, education beyond borders, mentorship on the move, personal development, community empowerment. So yeah, shout out to everybody working there. Also, the person who founded Cultural Cycling Academy is the Cape Town Bicycle Mayor, Sindile, someone whom I've interacted with on numerous occasions. So them and Velokaya Cycling Academy are doing excellent work in that community. So check them out, donate if you can, and yeah, shout out to them. Then because we'll quickly look at the schedule for South Africa for the Springboks as a whole, and then we'll look specifically at the schedule more direct as the greatest rivalry. So today is the 2nd of August, 2026, and South Africa this coming Saturday at 9 o'clock South African time, 9 p.m. will be in Buenos Aires taking on Argentina, and then after that the rugby's greatest rivalry. So this is scheduled for the senior Springbok team, not necessarily New Zealand. We'll look at the New Zealand schedule a bit later. So there's quite a gap in terms of Test rugby for the Boks from the 8th of August to the 22nd of August when the first game against New Zealand kicks off in Johannesburg. Lucky you, Teminkosi. You get a lot of games in your Gauteng province. Then on the 29th of August, it's
not affordable ones.
um, then on the 29th, it's Springboks versus New Zealand in Cape Town. Then on the 5th of September, it's Springboks versus New Zealand in Johannesburg. And then the final match will be in the Gilead in Baltimore in the USA. And then after that, there'll be somewhat of a gap, but then South Africa will take on Australia in Perth. Basically a make-up fixture for the fact that there's no rugby championship this year. And then towards the end of the season, we'll have a break from September, October. There won't be any test matches, and then on the 7th of November, we'll take on Italy. 13th of November, we'll be away to France in Paris, and then a huge match, a Global Gainline derby. On the 21st of November, we'll take on Ireland, and then there'll be a fixture after this where the winner of the Northern Hemisphere pool will take on the winner of the Southern Hemisphere pool in the Nations Championship. So I suspect it'll be South Africa versus France. So yeah, look back to that a bit later. Find out if I'm correct or not. But as we look more specifically at the rugby's greatest rivalry, even though South Africa is taking on Argentina on the 8th of August, which is Saturday, on Friday night here in Cape Town, it's the All Blacks versus the Stormers. So that'll be the Stormers URC team. And then after that, on the 11th, it's the All Blacks versus my Sharks team out in Durban. On the 15th, it'll be All Blacks versus Jean and Chris's Bulls team. And then we get on to the actual main course, all this appetizer aside. As we mentioned earlier, New Zealand versus South Africa, 22nd of August, Ellis Park. And then in between those two test fixtures, there's New Zealand versus Teminkosi and Sibusiso's Lions team at Ellis Park again. So New Zealand playing Ellis Park back to back. And then New Zealand on the 29th, New Zealand versus Springboks at DHL Cape Town Stadium. And then this is going to be an awesome thing. The last game in South Africa will be at the FNB Stadium, and it's been a while since the Springboks played in FNB Stadium. And my understanding is this is the only fixture that's close to sold out as of yet. And then obviously the last game is in the Gilead in Baltimore. So then because how do you feel about the structure of this tournament?
I like it. I would have preferred it to have like your midweek games, but I understand that with player welfare, we can't do midweek games unless we play two separate teams.
Mhm.
But in terms, I think they get a nice warm up with the first three URC matches. It would be a nice warm up for them to be,
Mhm.
I guess, to feel the altitude, to feel how it's like playing in South Africa again before they head to the box. It's a nice initiative, right? Because the way it's set up is that everyone in the rugby community is looking forward to this rugby greatest rivalry. Now that I think about it, I would say every fan, because we have, in we have casual watchers that watch only the Six Nations. We have people that only watch the rugby championships, people that only watch the Premiership, people that only watch the USC. But somehow everyone is looking forward to these two matches. Shows something about the rivalry, I guess. But yeah, I actually can't wait. I would say
Yeah.
that if I had to predict how it goes, I think the first New Zealand versus South Africa match is important. If New Zealand can win that one, that might give them the momentum to kind of push through and try win a second one. But if South Africa wins that by a far margin, it's going to be very hard for them mentally to come back.
Interestingly enough, there are only two midweek games in this tour. So on the 11th, that's August the 11th, that's a Tuesday. And August the 25th, that's also a Tuesday. So, but yeah, things are a bit more spread out. I think in tours gone by, there would be consistently a weekend game and a midweek game, sort of like AK used to be referred to as like the dirt trackers. The sort of if you take a if South Africa were touring New Zealand, it would be like the broader squad. The sort of second team would play a New Zealand Super Rugby franchise. But in this case, it's New Zealand touring us with 44 players, and then their sort of broader squad playing. Um, so it will be the broader squad playing the Sharks in Durban on the 11th, which is a Tuesday, and then no midweek game the week after that. But because it goes from the 11th to the 15th, and then from the 15th it goes to the 22nd, so no midweek game there. But then on the 25th, they play the Lions. So that's interesting. That means my team and your team are playing midweek games on Tuesday nights, whereas Stormers and Bulls are playing on Friday night fixtures. Friday night fixtures? No, the Bulls game is the 15th, so that's a Saturday night. Very interesting. So that'll be prime time. It'll be interesting to see how many people actually attend this coming Friday's game at Cape Town Stadium, as well as how many people actually attend the game on the 15th on a Saturday at Loftus Versalt. Yeah, we'll look forward to that. Is that everything we have to talk about, Demigosi? I wonder. Let's go through the schedule here before we say goodbye. Yeah, that's just about it. Wow. Let me switch my camera back on here so we can sign off. Yeah. Okay, Demigosi,
We
before
keep.
we go,
I think.
rating.
I think our disadvantage now, we
Yeah.
digress. We
Oh,
talk in between of things. We just bounce back and forth. I understand why producer keeps complaining about making thumbnails.
it's all part of the fun. We're doing it for here's we're doing it for vibes here. Speaking of which, I got this really cool uh sort of full team sheet at the event on Friday. I'm gonna very much laminate this and show my grandkids one day. It's got all the names in alphabetical order. Uh, Barrett,
Uh, uh,
Bell, Blackadder, Bauer, Carter, etc. Uh, so yeah, before we go, Tim, because it's very
I
important
think you
that
should.
we,
I think you should pray. Ne? You should pray that they win, because then
yeah,
it'll be much more valuable.
I'm not saying it, I'm not saying it, but keeping it in the family. There was a New Zealand supporter who had like a white shirt, right? That he had in his hand, and as we were leaving the stadium, he was saying like, "Oh, he got uh the captain to sign it," and he was like, "Hey, they're like, what do you think it's worth it? I was thinking to myself, like, dude, like keep it, like frame it and that type of thing. Why are you trying to sell it? We just got it signed. It was a cool New Zealand, like the white New Zealand kit, whatever. So yeah, yeah. Before we sign off, Timikosi, very importantly, Spider-Man, a rating out of 10, please.
I think it was good to see Peter said. I know this is it's weird to say, but all Spider-Man movies, it all the good ones have been when he's sad, and
Ah,
this is one of those movies. So I would give it a. It's bad. They can't really go wrong. It's bad. I would give them at least an 8.
all right. How many Spider-Man films has it been with Tom Holland? Because I've not watched any of them. I have nothing against Tom Holland. Uh, I just
The
like it's like I've sort
the
of
this one,
I watched the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. I kind of didn't watch the um the Spider-Man in between. I forget what that dude's name is. He's also a very good actor. Forgive me for forgetting his
yeah,
name.
yeah,
And then I like Tom Holland. He was in weirdly Tom Holland's like in two really huge films right now at the cinema, both Spider-Man and The Odyssey. But yeah, I think this is the fourth Tom Holland Spider-Man.
yeah. That's what I'm saying is that it was a nice change to see Peter
Hmm.
depressed. I think Peter, the Spider-Man, I know has always been some depressed guy that finds a way to save the day. And ever since Tom Holland got on there, he's been very cheerful and chipper and happy about being Spider-Man. So that's why I feel like I like this one more. It
Yeah.
got back to that Maguire type of role. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how many there are. I didn't watch the last one before this one.
It
I
takes a
know
it takes a
there are
lot for me to actually go to the cinema. So before the Odyssey, the last film I must have watched was like I think it was the Robert Pattinson Batman, and before that it was like Ad Astra, which I really enjoyed at the cinema. I like watching it at like a premium cinema, and then I was told by friends later on that it was like a very much a guy film because then I thought back to the film itself, and I was like, oh, it's just about Brad Pitt being depressed that his dad was neglecting him. So I was like, oh, now that you reflect it, but when you're at the cinema, you're very engrossed. I will say that the Robert Pattinson Batman was very good. Maybe not as good as like The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger and Christian Bale. It was a bit of a long film,
no.
whereas weirdly, The Odyssey, which I would encourage you, Debbie Cousy, to go out and watch as well as everybody else watching, was nearly 3 hours long, but it didn't feel like it. It was just like very engrossing, very, very good acting, very I'm not a like it's not an action film, but it did have action towards the end. Felt a bit out of place, but I didn't mind it per se. But yeah, no spoilers from either of us. But yeah, I would give the Odyssey 11 out of 10. It's fantastic. Also, I liked how it upset a lot of people before going into the thing because they picked Lupita Nyong'o, who's a beautiful woman and has an exceptional role in the film. So yeah, again, no spoilers. Excellent film if you can make it out and watch it, and if you're able to watch it at an IMAX cinema. I know South African IMAX cinema is not quite the same 40 millimeter IMAX as they have in other countries, but it's still a massive experience. It's about the best experience we can get to give the film justice we have in South Africa. That brings us to the end of the show. From myself, Tim Nkosi, and everybody else in the Global Gainlines. Look out for the Argentinian preview show a bit later this week. And until next time.